agree with Alan Greenspan. We ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely. We do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
O Muslim, O servant of Allah. O Muslim, O servant of Allah. There is a Jew behind me. Kill him. Are the words of the wonderful Imam visiting a Montreal mosque just a few days ago. He came to the great nation of Canada. He brought his hatred, which is written in the page. This is an Arabic verse, by the way. O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, kill him. Written into the texts of this, this religion that is just as equal as Christianity or just as equal as Buddhism and Hindu or whatever. I don't need to go down the litany. But people, to their credit, now here's the interesting part. People, to their credit, called this in as a hate crime from the mosque itself. Okay? There was a video taken and put up on YouTube. The mosque has been in trouble before with controversial preachers. Yet when you say things like the mosques are at the root of some of the worst terror in the world, then you're an Islamophobe, right? We've all been there. We've all had those thoughts of, I better not say that. I better not even think that. That's a dangerous thought to be having in 2017 in America or in Canada or in the Western world. O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, kill him. Spouted, Arabic verse spouted across the congregation at this Montreal mosque. And you tell me that this is just a lone wolf scenario. You understand? This guy in the UK was a lone wolf. You know what I mean? It wasn't We've got another shooting in France. A 14-year-old boy shot, 2 others shot repeatedly. They're saying that it was a gangster who shot him, like it's 1940. a hooded gangster of the Al Capone ilk. We'll see. Maybe it is. Maybe it was. Maybe it was a little turf war. Maybe it was a little adolescent angst turned into something a lot worse, using firearms in France. But something tells me that we'll probably learn a little something about the origins and the backgrounds of this hooded gangster. I think that he'll be something similar to the bearded man. The hooded gangster and the bearded man may turn out to have a lot in common, if you know who the bearded man was. That's how they described the man who ran people over in the UK and killed a police officer of 15 years, husband, father, dead, gone off of this world, thanks to the wonderful practitioners of O Muslim, O servant of Allah. There's a Jew behind me, kill him. You think that these words don't have meaning, they don't have effect, you're insane. If you think that these words don't have effect on our society and the people on our society, I used to have a friend who was big into stand-up comedy. And for some reasons or others, you know how you just gravitate away from people? Usually gravitate to people. I'm using the wrong word, I guess. But sometimes you have that opposing force with people, and it's sometimes it's only minuscule, but it just pushes you away. And I'm a finicky guy, and I'm a guy who doesn't keep many friends to begin with, right? I don't really have the time. You have to make decisions in life sometimes about how you want to lead your life, where you want to spend your time. And the way that I spend a lot of my time is alone. Or with my family, and I enjoy it. So I remember he said something. He was cracking a joke at one point, and he said something along the lines of, they're just words. They're just words. And after that moment, I know we didn't talk much anymore. There was nothing said. There was no exchange. There was no battle between their just words type of talk. But still to this day, I remember that little phrase that couldn't be more wrong. They're just words. I'm a writer. It's what I do for a living. And I understand the power of the spoken language and the written language and how much power there is there. And I understand that there's nothing said ever that is just words. There are always somebody, some group, something ready to cleave to what has been said, what has been uttered, what has been written. Which is why so many hundreds of years later, in this modern age in which we live, we still have, O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there's a Jew behind me, kill him, being said in mosques around the world. This is an Arabic verse. This is not something uncommon. This guy didn't come over with this idea. It wasn't like the last imam who made the news that said we need to kill the Jews, or kill the gays, rather. This was not a matter of opinion. This was a scripture cited. You understand the danger now? Do you understand that? The danger is built in. And it takes a great community of Muslims, like they have in Montreal, to root this guy out and to bring him, to the eyes of the public. Now, what I'm a little perturbed about, and what they didn't go into in the story, so I can make assumptions, and I will make assumptions. The accusation wasn't made till days later. And that concerns me. It makes me wonder why they were made later. And it makes me think that they were waiting until this man got up on a plane and took off back to Jordan before they accused him. Now, that may not be the case. That may be conspiratorial of me, and hey, that's me. Sorry. If you don't like it, that is what it is. That may be conspiratorial of me, and when I say that, I mean it, I'm thinking now. I'm thinking about things. And I'm thinking and I'm wondering, why? Why 3 days till it was reported? Why not reported the same day? Why not have this big fat, and he was a big fat, rotund, probably couldn't kill another man if he had to type of guy, out of shape. If he came in contact with someone from the Israeli military, they would dispatch him in a matter of minutes. But in front of his hateful congregation, he felt like he could. Felt like he could spatter these words. The other scary thing is what doesn't get reported. That's always the scary thing. When you see something that is amiss in any scenario in life, it's very rarely a one-off. You know what I mean? It's very rarely a one-off. You see a parent reel back and hit their kid in public, and you're like, oh, that's a problem. And you wonder, if they're willing to do that out here, what are they doing at home? Right? So in other words, if things like that are getting caught in the net, you know what I mean? Then what is missing? What is going through the net? What type of hateful language about gays, about transgenders, about Christians, about Americans, who knows? About other fellow Canadians, about women. These are the groups that these radical Muslims target, by the way. So for you good progressive people out there who are always backing the madness, just understand that you're in the crosshairs more than me. I'm a man, right? I'm a white man. They hate me too, but not nearly as much as they want to shackle women and hate gays and kill transgenders and all that. But I'll speak on for you, because I know you're too weak to speak for yourself. You're afraid. You're afraid to hurt feelings. You're afraid to lose your job. And there's real pressures out there in the world today, and that's a terrible situation that many Americans are in. They're linked up at a job. They don't even like it that much, but they're stuck there, and they have to do what their boss says, and they have to say what their boss says, and if they don't, then they're pretty much out the door. They're not going to get the promotion. They're not, that's the thing about work. You know, when it comes to work and climbing the ladder and stuff, a lot of it has to do with likability. There's no getting around that. Is he a likable guy? Is he liked by the people above him? And if he's not, he may get glazed over for someone who is, even if he's more, qualified. Can I take a break from it? Oh, I got a latte here. I'm driving to the gym this morning. It's pretty early. This guy just ran a red light like it was nothing. That's funny. But the Muslim terror it's worn me out. It's dug a space in my mind and it's worn me out. Because we're doing nothing. We're doing nothing. We're in such a sad reactionary place. And I've told you before, it's a dangerous place. If you don't take action first and you live in this reactionary life, this reactionary world, then you force other people to take matters into their own hands to keep their families safe. And that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. That's how mosques go up in flames. That's how mosques wind up firebombed. When you let radicals in and out of your country and say what they want. And we end up with a pile of dead gay people in a nightclub in Orlando because people let imams come into Florida and say what they wanted. Remember, that's where the other radical guy was from. But I don't know. What do I want to talk about today? The weather's beautiful. The weather is beautiful. I've got plans to plant Mad Dog skull cap in the garden today. If you're not familiar with this herb, it's a medicinal. Its name derives from the fact that it used to be a treatment for rabies, an old remedy for rabies, right? Mad Dog, it really does a lot for anxiety. It's a calming herb. It's great in teas, and what I like about it is it feels like it's recommended that it works on your nervous system, and to me, it just takes the jittery, over-anxious feeling out of me sometimes. It's a great one right before bed, something like that. So I've got plans to get some medicinal herbs planted. I think we've seen the last of winter here in Virginia. Do you want to talk about medicinals? We could talk about some medicinal herbs if you'd like. What I plan on growing. I always try to grow echinacea coneflower. It never works. I never cold stratify the seeds or leave them out cold through the winter. I always forget in fall. I'm worried about planting fall vegetables. I'm worried about planting garlic for spring, and I just forget. And I've got some echinacea in the ground right now, and it's not doing a thing. So I probably won't have that. Lemon balm I love. Every year I do lemon balm. I like it. It keeps mosquitoes away. I think this year what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in pots. I like the idea of putting these lemongrasses and these lemon balms and these citronellas in pots. And then taking them where you are, So front porch. All right, we're sitting out on the front porch. Just take the citronella out there. That type of thing. Mosquitoes are a big deal. I'm not afraid of the Zika virus, okay? I had a doctor on my show in the past, and he basically explained it all away. He told me that these I forget the word for the small head babies, the encephalic, I think it's something like that. It's all from pollution. These women who are having these babies well, we don't need to go into it. If you want to hear about it, go to prepperbroadcasting.com. Prepperbroadcasting.com. There's a whole army, something like 200 episodes of I Am Liberty at prepperbroadcasting.com. Look for the one with Ralph LaGuardia, the Doomsday Book of Medicine, and you'll hear the break. Oh, I'm wrong. Look for the one about the Zika virus. The whole episode's about Zika. Look into it, and you'll be amazed at what you find out about Zika. You will be amazed to find out the truth about the Zika virus. But they do carry terrible things, these brutal insects, so I like to try to keep them at bay, I lost all my chickens last year, so that's another project this year. We're going to get chickens back on the Walton homestead. It was my fault. I let them live a little too freely, and the predators came and predated. So, what else? Herbs. What other great medicinals? I grow medicinals you don't really consider medicinals, like garlic. Garlic's in the ground right now. Cayenne pepper's going in today into the greenhouse. I'll do some cayenne in the greenhouse, and I'll leave it in there. I'll leave it in there at a 70-degree day in the greenhouse gets up to like 110 in the hot house, and I'll leave those peppers in there. Those hot peppers, man, that's what they want. They want that heat. My father-in-law's, he's doing the same thing. He's got these Carolina Reapers. But the cayenne is an incredible aid in blood flow and circulation. It dilates the blood vessels, the vessels in the heart. I guess it's the capsaicin. I don't know the whole scientific breakdown, but I will tell you that it is great for circulation. It's awesome to have around as well. It dries well. You can get the seeds from it very easily. My whole crop going in the ground this year is not even from seed stores. It's not from storage and seeds that I have stored away. It's from seeds from last year. I have plenty. I have too many. What else? What else do I want to do? Echinacea for sure going in. I got thyme growing already. Rosemary's always growing. Though I'm hoping to see new shoots from my rosemary because it's looking a little tired. It's looking a little rough. What else are we going to do? We could do some borage this year, maybe. I don't know if I'll go down that route. I wasn't that impressed with that. The lemon balm is a big one. What else? Lavender. Lavender's a nice one to have around. I don't know how medicinal it is, but I know that it's a powerhouse. It's got that great scent. I love that great scent. That lavender scent. I have been toiling with the idea of making some soaps. Just another thing I don't have time to do, you know what I mean? Just another thing I have no time to get involved with, but I probably would wind up getting involved with it. But the medicinal herb garden, it doesn't take a lot of space because you don't use it a lot. You're not out there making salve. I mean, unless you really get into this medicinal herb thing, you're not out there every day making salves and cutting all kinds of leaves to make tinctures or oils. But I'll tell you, get into it and you'll be surprised. The way that I love to take advantage of the medicinal herbs is I like to look for the ones that have the most positive effects based on what I deal with. What types of things do I deal with? Some fatigue from time to time, moderate congestion maybe once in a while, stress, right, like everyone else, stressed out all the time. Not really all the time, though, but sometimes I need something to slow me down. My mind is like it's on fire all the time. So I look to these herbs and I take them and I steep them in my green tea or in my morning tea, or I make just tea direct from them. You can do that too. If you got something powerful like a lemon balm, you can make a lemon balm tea, and it's not super powerful, but it'll do. And you can start your day with something like that, or you can end your day with it. That's the benefit of these herbs, and having these herbs. I read an amazing statistic. Well, several amazing statistics. One was that community gardens are up 300% since 2013, or since as of 2013. I'm sorry, I don't remember when the beginning was. There was something like 1 million in the country. Now there's like 3 million in the country. That to me is just music to my ears. There has been a garden boom in this nation that is changing the way that we eat and the way that we look at food. There's no getting around that, man. There's a gardening boom in the nation right now. Think about that. The reason I bring it up is because I know a lot of people are growing tomatoes. I know a lot of people are growing cucumbers and peppers. But I don't know that many people are taking advantages of the medicinal herbs that are out there and that can be effective. And they're things that you could take on a daily basis without having to worry about the nasty effects of like an ibuprofen, It doesn't put the strain on your liver and your kidneys and all that. So think about medicinals this year if you haven't got into it. Up since 4, pulling out of the gym. Pumped. Showered. People flying around corners. Trying to rear end the Ford Focus here. It's not a pretty sight. But I'm feeling good, I'll tell you that much, man. It's a beautiful day. You know what I mean? It's over. The misery of winter is over. It's like my father and I, we always celebrated the end of winter like we were Mohicans or Powhatan Indians, you know what I mean? And the food was scarce and the cupboards were barren. We celebrated the end of winter every year. Because we didn't hunt, you know what I mean? So we didn't get out in the winter. It was just waiting for fishing season every year. Fishing season ended. Creeks froze over. They were too cold to fish. It was too cold to get out. And then when we just sat there and stewed about the misery of winter. And when it ended every year, you know, it was like a celebration. It's gone. It's done. We survived. We made it through another harsh winter on the Oregon Trail. But it's over, man. And I couldn't be happy. You know, this is when I get into incredible shape because I can be outside and I can be doing the things I like to do, running in the woods. Running, I don't particularly like, but I do love to run through those woods, man. I enjoy that. I like to take the dogs for runs. I like to go out and run like early in the morning, you know, in the dark. Run around neighborhoods, see what the hell's going on. Run around, dissolve into deep thought. But the reason I wake up and can wake up at 4 o'clock and can put my body through hell is because I have like an intravenous drip of inspiration at all times. I have to have it. You know, I'm not the type of guy, I am in no way the type of disciplined guy who can just get up and do the things that I have to do every day on my own without inspiration. In other words, I'm just as happy to wake up and stay in my pajamas until 12 noon and play video games. You know what I mean? And watch YouTube videos and watch fights and watch guys head kick guys, and you know what I mean? I need that constant inspiration to be the best version of me. And thankfully I live in a time where, like I said, I have like an IV. I've got YouTube, I've got the internet, I've got access to all kinds of different versions and derivations of entertainment and knowledge and books and libraries, and it's just an incredible time for inspiration and people. The other great thing is a podcast. You know, a podcast is an amazing avenue for, if nothing else, inspiration. Because you can't call people, I've said this before, but you can't, I haven't said it in a while though. You can't call people up and just say, hey, I'm James Walton, nice to meet you. Yeah, I write for a living, and we really have nothing at all in common, but I really like your theory on this, or I really like the new book you wrote on that. You want to talk? You want to set an hour aside and talk to me? Yeah, I don't really know. This is kind of a weird call. I think I'm not going to go with that. And that's probably the response you'll get. But if you get in contact with some people and you tell them, hey, look, my name is James Walton. I'm the host of a show called I Am Liberty. We get a good chunk of prepper and survival related downloads every single episode, yada, yada, yada. I'll give you a platform. Even if you make no money off that podcast, you get to get in front of these people, ask them questions, meet them, get inspired by them. And I can tell you one thing, man. Inspiration goes miles further than any dollar bill. That's just reality. When it comes to moving the human body, you know what I mean? And moving it successfully and optimally. In other words, moving it the way it should move. Sure, everybody moves for money. But they move in misery. They move in despair. They move not with a smile on their face. If you want to fill yourself with inspiration and move with happiness, that's the way you do it. So the reason I'm on the inspiration kick, right? The reason I am talking about inspiration is because I am doing a new 5x5 strong lifts workout, which is, I think it's an app. It's an app-driven workout. You don't need the app to do the workout. It's kind of simple, and I'll explain it. But the app is one of those things that's exciting. You get to go in there. You get to log in what you've done. You get to measure yourself, which for me is very important in fitness. For me, I have to be measuring or else I phone it in. You know what I mean? That's why the MMA Institute was so great for me, because I had opponents. you know, and opponents are great. Opponents are great because they don't change. And even then, you know, I'd have those days where I was dead after work, and I would say, you know what, I'm going to pick a certain partner today because I know that guy's not going to go that hard either. It's human nature. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm some guy who comes to war every day. It's not me. It's not most people either. You know, it's not. And to be honest with you, when you meet people who are like that, a lot of times, not all the time, because there are some genuine people who are just badass monsters who go hard every day, and that's just what they do. But for the most part, they usually have some kind of tick, you know what I mean? Or they got something eating at them, or something's kind of wrong with them, and they're filling the gap or the misery with this hard work. So they have their own inspirations. But that said, this 5x5, I think it's called Strong Lifts. I think the app's called Strong Lifts. And what it is basically core strength exercises, deadlifts, squats, barbell rows, overhead press, bench press. I think that's all it is. And it just sets you up with 5 sets and a timer to do those 5 sets. And what it also does is it adds 5 pounds to every set, 5 pounds to every set for your next workout. So in other words, let's say you squat 200 pounds today, 5 times for 5 sets. Next week, it'll tell you to do 205 pounds, or next workout, whatever it is. Next workout, you'll do 205. Workout after that, you'll do 210. Yada, 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 so on and so forth. And then it shows graphs. And what you do is you go in, and despite what it says, you tell them what you did. I did 3 sets of 5 at 210, and that was too much. You know what I mean? And then you plug in that information, and it'll tell you what happens then, what to do then. It's very simple. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's a level of inspiration. It's something that can get me going and get me excited about working out, and working out hard and lifting heavy, which for me, that's really the only way to do it. At this juncture in my life, you know what I mean? I've been blessed with a very high metabolism. I sculpt up pretty well, so I'm not in there. I don't need to do thousands of reps. I've also got into this mindset where as I age, I don't want to put that kind of stress on my ligaments and on my tendons and on those always important, what's that muscle in the shoulder that always goes? Rotator cuffs. You know what I mean? I don't want to rip the rotator cuffs up. And I think a lot of that has to do with repetitious movements, you know. Who's the kettlebell guy? That's what he believes as well. The kettlebell guy. What's his name? I can't think of it. The Russian man basically responsible for bringing kettlebells to America. I was just listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast with him on. It was great. Pavel Tsatsouline is the same thing. He says if you do 5 reps, don't do any more. If you do 5, do no more. If you can do 10, do 5. And a lot of it, like I said, has to do with the wear and tear that we put on ourselves through fitness has to be really studied. A lot of people are overdoing it, 15, 20 reps, 3 sets. When you think about it, the repetition there, you know, one exercise rather, in a set of exercises that you're doing, you could be running that isolated portion of your muscle, your bone, your body, your joint, your tendon, with the same rigorous movement. If you're doing 15 reps, 3 sets, think about that. That's 45 times that you're going to push that weight up. And even if it's a lightweight, that brings on incredible fatigue. And I think once you hit fatigue level, that's when injury happens. At least that's what I've read, that's what I've heard. You know what I mean? Those are the things that are common sense to me. So 5 sets of 5, that's my game plan from here on out. You know, 5 sets of 5, when I feel fatigued, that's it. I'm done. I'm not pushing through anything anymore. You know, I'm not doing it. My game plan is to follow life through on my strengths. I didn't play sports growing up. I have 0 injuries. You know, I have 0 reoccurring injuries. I have 0 issues with my body right now at 31 years old. And I don't plan on accruing any. You know, and I want to be strong. I want to be in shape, but I'm going to do it in a way that doesn't compromise my body, and that's it. That's it. Talk to me when I'm 70. Let's see if it worked. Talk to me in 40 years and we'll see if it worked. I can guarantee you it will. That coupled with yoga on a regular basis, and I can assure you that I'm going to be more mobile than most people are at 70 today. Guaranteed. So the 5x5 workout, if you're into lifting, to your body's maximum, and if you're into getting stronger faster, the 5x5, 5 sets, 5 reps in each set, heavier weights, it's the way to go. It's fast. The other thing about it too is it's fast. When you're doing 15 reps, 3 sets when you're doing 45 total reps of something and taking, a minute between each set, it's a long workout. And let's be honest, who's got time for it? You get into this age, you get older, you get wrapped up in success and doing things that really matter outside of just keeping yourself alive and keeping your body in shape, and you realize efficiency is everything. At least for me. Efficiency has become a lot, it's become a very important thing. So where am I going with it? I don't know. Who knows? I just don't want to talk about Muslims and healthcare bills. Is that okay? Can we just take a tributary off the main river of garbage news and not talk about, the GOP bill, Donald Trump was mad, and it looks like Senator this and Representative that, and the Democrats are this, and I just don't want to talk about it. What's exciting about that? There's nothing exciting there. It would be like a research paper for me to do a podcast on that. I'd have to study and learn things that have nothing to do with anything. Not going to do me any well. So I'd much rather talk about inspiration on a Saturday morning, because I'm heading to vacuum the car out. The car looks like I left the windows open and left it off of a highway, and trash and everything else just blew in. It's brutal. The lady in behind me in a Mercedes-Benz is taking a selfie while driving. That's always good. That makes my back bumper feel real warm. Oh, this life we live is an amazing one, isn't it? I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I really do. But I'm going to call it a day when it comes to recording. I'm going to go enjoy my Saturday, right? I've got a little bit of writing to do. What else am I going to do? I don't know. Planting, that whole thing. It's going to be a nice day, a beautiful day. Get outside with the kids and enjoy it. I expect that you do the same. Have a good afternoon. It's your faithful host, James Walton, with the I Am Liberty Show. I'll talk to you all very soon.